Well, two teenage boys accused of plotting to rape and murder their classmates in Saint-Hyacinthe made headline news across the province this week. The teens face a total of 18 charges, including multiple counts of conspiracy to commit murder and conspiracy to commit a criminal act. Now, fortunately, the plot was foiled thanks to one of the teens' moms who turned them in after seeing their plan on Facebook. I sat down with a cybersecurity expert earlier this week who called that mom very brave. This is a pretty frightening story when you think about the age of these young men and what they were planning, and the mother is the one who turned in her own son. How much bravery do you think that would take on the part of a parent?
She's very, very brave to do that. I mean, it's her own son and all. So, but I think also it was a warning that, hey, something bad's about to happen, and it's not just the son's life that could be in jeopardy here. It's also the parents, because they're going to, the public might say, well, she raised their sons, there must be a problem there too. So there's consequences down the line. It's not just for the kids.
Yeah, she saved the lives, one police officer was saying, of 3 people in that school, and she probably saved her own son's life as well in doing so, right?
Exactly.
It's a warning, though, for parents of teenagers that they have to watch everything their kids are doing on social media. Is that the message here?
The times have changed, right? I mean, when we were growing up, if we were watching television and that parents didn't like what we were watching, they'd come in the room, change a channel on us, right? So the parents were being active. But now with the kids going online, it's the kids that are being active, and the parents don't have a clue what's going on online in their accounts. So the parents definitely get up to speed with technology and learn what they're doing online.
We don't know the exact details of this case. What we do know is the mother intercepted a Facebook conversation between this 14 and this 16-year-old and immediately contacted police. So if you have a teenager who's on Facebook, how do you find those messages? How do you keep track of their account? Because they have their own password,
That's right? Yeah. So a lot of times they might just stumble upon it. So I've seen a lot of cases where the parents will have access to their angel account version while the devil account version is with their friends. But there are ways. So for example, let's say the child is chatting with another person on the computer. And as the messages are coming through, maybe they have an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy, and all of a sudden the messages are showing up there too. So that's how they can read what's going on.
So the mother may have accidentally seen the conversation happening. You can also see signs in your children, you were telling me. If they're trying to hide their behavior from you, that should be a red flag.
Right. I mean, we've seen situations where, we used to say keep the computer in a public area of your house, right? But those times are gone. But
why are those times gone? I force my kids to do it in the living room, have the computer in the living room, but you say that's sort of old school thing.
Yeah, because, it used to be set up a designated area for the computer, but now there's just no more room in the house, or they have other stuff to put there.
Or they're
always on their phone all the time. They're on a tablet. So if you see things like you're walking past, then all of a sudden they're hovering over it, or they're changing the screens quickly, those are the little signs that, hey, what are you doing?
How do you spy on your kids online, for lack of a better word? If you really want to know what's happening in that devil Facebook account, is there any way for you to gain access to that?
There's some softwares you can install on the computer. You have to have administrative access, but you can install software that would allow you to keep track of every single thing you're doing, and you can play it back as if it's a video. So you can see everything from their passwords that they're entering, their chats, their pictures. So if they're sexting, things like that, there's a lot of that happening in the schools now too, where kids are sending nude photos to each other. You'll see all of that in the trace. But you can also look through their browser history. So those are warning signs too. If you go and check out the computer's browser history and you see it's empty, that's a sign that, hey, either they're intentionally deleting it, or there's maybe a virus on the computer.
It's hard to know the balance as a parent because that software you're talking about, I don't want to be so big brother is watching with my kids, but at the same time, in a case like this, she literally saved people's lives. So where do you think the balance is?
But I think it's hard too, because she probably didn't know this was happening until she stumbled across that message. We don't know the full story, right? But to your point, how do you know what the balance is? And if you see your kids are always doing suspicious things, maybe it is time to have a peek of what's happening in the closet.
How important is it in this day and age for parents to be connected, not just emotionally to their kids, but also technologically, and understand what's happening with technology?
It's very, very important now. Like I said, they don't have a clue what's happening online. So whenever they're being cyberbullied or bad things are happening, it always comes to them as a shock.
Comes to the parents as a shock.
Exactly. Like my kid would never do that. But then when you see what's happening, you're like, well, how'd you been up to date, you could have caught that, you know?
I was seeing in this case, too, in Saint-Hyacinthe, the police were saying the 14 and the 16-year-old were egging each other on online. They seem to be, and that tends to happen a lot. You could have a very innocent child or a teenager who maybe has no intention of harm, but then when they're behind the anonymity of a keyboard, they can be pushed into these kind of plots.
Exactly, that's exactly it. Because when they're behind the screen, there's no feelings involved, right? They don't know what's happening on the other side of the screen. They don't see the emotion on the kid's face. And of course, when you're texting or sending messages, there's no feelings in there. There's no emotion either. So you don't know if they're joking or are they really serious. And you know how many fights start for no reason because of this stuff, because of texting, right?
So bottom line message to parents, what do you tell parents who come to you for cybersecurity tips?
They absolutely need to get tech savvy. They need to get up to speed with what's happening. And if you're interested, I'm launching a free video series that they can go online on terrycutler.com. And I'll cover a lot of material on cyberbullying, what they should be doing, and how they can check if their kids are misbehaving online.
So some of the things you mentioned here, you'll have videos online to help parents.
Absolutely.
Terry, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
The teens in that case, by the way, expected back in court on the 18th of October. And for more information, as Terry mentioned there, on how to monitor your child's online behavior, visit the website terrycutler.com. And coming up on Focus Montreal,